Before the headlines, before the Gangland War, before bodies started dropping across Melbourne, there was one man many feared more than anyone else. He wore designer suits, he drove expensive cars, he lived like a celebrity, and he ruled the streets with fear. His name was Alphonse Gangitano, known across Melbourne's underworld as the Black Prince of Lygon Street. But in January 1998, that empire came crashing down. Alphonse Gangitano was born in Melbourne in 1957 into an Italian-Australian family. He grew up during a time when organized crime in Melbourne was changing. What once centered around gambling and protection rackets was evolving into something bigger: drugs, nightclubs, debt collection, street violence. Even from a young age, people around him said Alphonse was different. He was not interested in living a normal life. He was not chasing a regular job. He was chasing power. As he got older, he built a reputation throughout Melbourne's inner north, especially around Lygon Street, a place famous for its Italian culture, restaurants, and nightlife. But behind closed doors, it was also a place where criminal connections were growing, and that is where Alphonse earned his nickname, the Black Prince of Lygon Street. By the 1980s and early 1990s, Gangitano had become one of the most feared men in Melbourne. He did not hide in the shadows. He wanted people to know exactly who he was: gold jewelry, designer clothes, luxury cars, a lifestyle built on power, money, and fear. Police believed Gangitano played a major role in building what would later become known as the Carlton Crew, one of Melbourne's most feared criminal groups. Names connected to that world included Mick Gatto, Mario Condello, and Graham Kinneberg. Together, their influence stretched across gambling, extortion, debt collection, nightclubs, and the drug trade. At the height of his power, reports claimed Gangitano was making hundreds of thousands of dollars every month. But what truly made Alphonse different was not his money, it was his violence. Police and underworld figures described him as explosive, unpredictable, and capable of extreme brutality. One of the most infamous incidents happened in 1995 at a nightclub on King Street in Melbourne. Gangitano, along with associates including Jason Moran, was accused of violently attacking patrons with pool cues and metal bars. The attack became part of Melbourne underworld legend. By now, Alphonse was not just feared by ordinary people, he was feared by criminals too. But power in the underworld never lasts forever. As money and drugs flooded Melbourne, friendships became business, business became betrayal, egos got bigger, trust disappeared. Inside the Carlton Crew, cracks were beginning to show, tensions were rising, and many investigators believe what happened next would spark one of Australia's bloodiest criminal wars. January 16, 1998. Gangitano was at his home in Templestowe. That night, one of his closest associates, Graham Kinneberg, had been with him. At some point, Kinneberg reportedly left the home to buy cigarettes. When he returned, everything had changed. Gangitano had been shot multiple times in the head. His body was found in the laundry. He was 40 years old. Police later uncovered evidence suggesting both Graham Kinneberg and Jason Moran had been at the house that night. But like so many underworld cases, nobody talked, nobody cooperated, and nobody was ever convicted of killing Alphonse Gangitano. Later, coronial findings heavily implicated those closest to him, but the code of silence remained, and in a twist that felt straight out of a crime movie, both men linked to that night would later be murdered themselves. In Melbourne's underworld, secrets did not stay buried. They usually took people with them. Gangitano's murder did not end the violence. It started something much bigger. His death is widely seen as one of the opening moments of Melbourne's Gangland War, a war that would leave dozens dead over the years that followed. Even today, the name Alphonse Gangitano still carries weight in Melbourne's criminal history. To some, he was a king of the streets. To others, he was the man who helped create a bloodbath. In the end, Alphonse Gangitano had everything the underworld promised: money, status, fear, power. But in that world, power never lasts forever. And on a quiet night in January 1998, The Black Prince of Lygon Street met the same fate as so many others who lived by violence, because in that world, violence always comes back. And with his death, Melbourne's Gangland War was only just beginning. If you enjoy true crime stories from Australia's darkest chapters, please like, subscribe, and join us for the next case, because some stories refuse to die.